In this episode, we're going to rank the top 5 all-time games in the European League of Football. So drop a comment and let me know what you guys think.
We doing everything they talk about. You know I'm everything a boss about. Not putting work and gotta toss them out. I'm really biting, they just barking out. I'm really riding, they just parking now. Hit street, what to talk about. See the big H when I'm walking out.
Hey, before we start the show, I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, share the video with a friend. This is Base Coverage, and we talk European League of Football. Hey, yes. Thank you all for tuning in. Welcome to Base Coverage. I'm your host, Jamal Clay. Appreciate the love, appreciate the support. In this episode, as you just previously heard, we're going to rank the top 5 games of the European League of Football thus far. And I'm going to give you 2 honorable mention games, all right? And just thinking about those games ahead of time, I'll just tell you a lot of craziness has gone down in the city of Barcelona. So we'll dive into those games a little bit. This title or this discussion is coming from an article I actually did on First Down magazine. I'll drop the link in the description below for you to check out. But I wanted to talk about in the 3 seasons of the European League of Football, the top 5 games, and kind of give you my thoughts on my rankings, how I thought those games went, why they made the list, and what we can expect going forward as we head into year 4 of the ELF. So here we go. Without further ado, let's talk about the top 5 games in the European League of Football. I'm going to start with the honorable mention list, right? And where I want to go with this first game is a game that may not have been favorable in most eyes, as it was a defensive battle, right? I'm talking about this past season, 2023, the Raiders of Tirol played the Stuttgart Surge, right? Raiders of Tirol, both teams, I believe, coming in this game undefeated. Again, the score was 6-3 as the Surge get the win in this game. So not in the offensive explosion type of game, but if you like defense, this is your game. And if you play defense, you understand the stress and the one play could change the whole outcome of the game. So you damn near have to be perfect. And that's why I think it was a great chess match, so to say, between defensive coordinator Malik Jackson and Coach Brenner for the Stuttgart Surge. And it delivered, right? You got on the Raiders an offense that was humming at the time, right? Coming off great wins from Barcelona, beating the Munich Ravens, looking to take over the Central, right? Jarvis McClam making a name for herself. Sandro Platzgummer coming back. This was an offense to be reckoned with coming into the game. And I didn't think we really expected the defensive performance we got, but we sure enough got a hell of a performance. And on the Stuttgart Surge, obviously a complete 360 turnaround with Coach Newman and his team. They're coming off a big win versus the Paris Musketeers in Paris. I think they were 2-0 heading into this game, right? First place in the Central was on the line. So when you think about this game and you watch this game, the Surge did a real good job at, containing Jarvis, almost shutting him down. He didn't really have a big impact in this game. And then Sandro Platzgummer gets hurt in this game. And the Surge just did what they did as a good football team. They took advantage of any opportunities they had. The Raiders, they really struggled when the ball was down in their red zone. I believe a fumble, which led to another interception. A fumble, which led to another interception. For the Raiders. And then Hennessy with the big touchdown pass to Lewis Geyer to get the only touchdown of the game. I think the theme of this game was the Raiders, missing their opportunities in the red zone. But kudos to the Surge for playing a stout, sound, fundamental game. That's why I thought it was a great game. So coming in at honorable mention, we got the 2023 Raiders versus the Surge. All right. Not your cup of tea type of game, definitely. So another honorable mention game I want to talk about. As I mentioned pre-show, a lot of crazy things go down in Barcelona, right? A lot of crazy things. And, one of the games I want to talk to is the Showdown. I call this one the Showdown in Barcelona. And I'm talking about the 2021 Cologne Centurions traveling to play the Barcelona Dragons. You can argue this was probably one of Cologne's best. You can argue this was Cologne's best team, right? Year 1 in the league, Cologne's best team going to play Barcelona, who 1-5 at the time, Cologne 4-2, right? Just to talk about this game a little bit, both these teams combined for 111 points and over 1,200 yards total, right? And in the fourth quarter alone, they both combined for 47 total points. So if you were at this game in Barcelona, then you definitely got your money's worth. But this was a classic, to say the least. All right, the complete opposite of the other honorable mention with the 2023 Raiders of T-Row versus the Surge. This one was a classic. You got the GOAT, Madre London in this game, who had 302 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. Jan Wainwright throws for 348 and 3 touchdowns. And then on the other hand, you got Magic Zach throwing for 454 and 4 touchdowns. And then Remy Bertolin just has 271 receiving and a touchdown. So there were playmakers all over the field in this game, and they were just lighting up the scoreboard. Ultimately, what it came down at the end, Zach caps the game with a 41-yard touchdown run, hits his little dance, and Barcelona gets the win. Huge upset, especially where these teams were headed. But the showdown in Barcelona comes in, honorable mention. And that game, 2021, was Barcelona 60, Cologne Centurions 51. So we've had some great games, and we're going to dive into the list a little bit now. But man, there were some classics. So coming in at number 5, we have a rival. We have the 2021 Hamburg Sea Devils traveling to play the Russelhoff Panthers, right? This game was physical. The start of a rivalry, some would say. The black and blue game, not just for their colors, just because when you come out this game, you're going to need an ice bath for a couple of days. Physical game. These two teams hate each other. And it's a shame they don't play each other this year. This is probably one of the rivals the league should keep going year in, year out. But it was a back and forth game for the most part in all aspects, right? You got the Hamburg Sea Devils who were dominant in the run game for the most part, but then you also got the Russelhoff Panthers who were dominating in the passing game. I think Lucas Connor threw for like 300 plus yards this game, and it was definitely a tale of two different game plans going into this game. But both defenses showed up, you could say.
Out of bounds. Interception, and that will end the game. A game-ending interception. And unfortunately, it came down to that. So Evans Yaboa didn't get a sack, but he figured nicely into preserving the undefeated season that these
Hamburg Sea Devils stormed the field, right? I think it was our first field storming of the ELF, and they get the win for victory. So shout out to the Sea Devils. Obviously, we know how that turned out. They end up going to the championship before running into the Galaxy. But coming in at number 5, the black and blue game, the buckle up game, the 2021 Hamburg Sea Devils versus the Russelhoff Panthers. All right. Coming in at number 4, we have old friends meet again. We have the Rebirth. We have the Rhine Fire traveling to play the Frankfurt Galaxy week 1, year 2, 2022 of the European League of Football, right? These two teams go back to NFL Europe days, World Bowl 1998 days where the Fire got the victory 34-10. Galaxy coming off of their first European League of Football championship. They're riding high. They strike their fire week 1. All right. They strike the fire week 1. And this was a good turnout. This kind of push start what we now know as the loyal Fire fan base, and the Frankfurt fan base is pretty good too. I think it was about 7,000 or 8,000 at that game. I could be wrong, but I know it was a high number. When you look at this game, right, what was the difference in this game? The Fire's defense played a big role in this game. They were +4 in the turnover battle, right? And whenever you're +4, that's always a good sign that you're going to get a victory, right? Galaxy, they stayed within distance, though. It was a close game. Ultimately, what this game came down to, Fire will kick the game with a field goal with 9 seconds left.
The snap. Here's the hold. It is good. Good.
And that's all she wrote. And that began the ownership of the Galaxy, as the Galaxy have yet to beat the Rhine Fire. 0-5 as of now. We'll see what happens this year. Obviously, the Galaxy got the week 1 bye, but we know who they play week 2, so we're going to see how this turns out. But coming in at number 4, 2022, we have the Rhine Fire beating the Frankfurt Galaxy 29-26. You could kind of see a little theme, right? These close battle games, but obviously there's some points being scored too. So, that game was coming in at number 4. I said 3, coming in at number 4. So, coming in at number 3, we have the new kids on the block. excuse me, we got the new kids on the block. And what do I mean by that? I mean the Munich Ravens play the Stuttgart Surge 2023, right? Ravens started the season a little slow. A lot of hype coming into it in terms of where their organization was going, some of the signings that they made. And we saw their fan support week one, obviously bringing in anywhere between 5,000 to 7,000 for that week one home game. Had a little bit of a low mid-season, lost to the Surge their first meeting, but then, obviously they changed things around, right? The first meeting, I believe, was 28-9. Excuse me. And then going into this meeting, this was the return of Riley Hennessy. This was his first game back from the Surge after coming off an injury. Obviously, the Surge, they played with Jan Vainreich and Keontae Allen for a couple, but Riley Hennessy freshly coming back. Question was, how was he going to be? How was he going to perform in this game, right? This game literally went score for score. And one of the differences in this game was the physicality for the Munich Ravens. One of the plays that I could think that sticks out, I believe it was a 3rd and short or 4th and short. Chad Jeffries show QB sneak, but he ends up taking it to the outside and he scores off it. All right. I believe him and Tommy Away will both go for 100 plus rushing and a pair of touchdowns. And the Surge really didn't have an answer. They really didn't have an answer for that game. And then I thought Hennessy and the Stewart connection really showed in this game and proved to be strong as it will continue to go throughout the season, especially with their first game coming back. But last minute field goal edges the Ravens over the Surge, which is going to lead to an interesting week one matchup when the Stuttgart Surge play the Ravens. Obviously, this is a new rival brewing. A lot of people are excited about this matchup based off the last game they played and how that went. So coming in at number 3, the new kids on the block, we got the Munich Ravens beating the Stuttgart Surge 32-30 in 2023. Like I said, a lot of close games. This one was hard. And as I mentioned pre-show, and as I mentioned earlier, a lot of crazy things happened in Barcelona, right? So I want to talk about 2022, the Vienna Vikings travel to play the Barcelona Dragons. This was Barcelona's best team, your favorite team's favorite team, right? Barcelona gets off to a hot start with some big wins, even the win over the Hamburg Sea Devils, ELF runner-up champion, ELF championship runner-up the year before. Obviously, year 2, we know how that goes. They beat a Cologne team who was a playoff team the year prior, and they beat the Fire. They were 5-0 heading into this game. So this was a different Barcelona team, and obviously we know new coaching staff, Andrew Weidinger, Michael Sam, a lot of different type of playmakers on this team. Kyle Sweet, Magic Zach, I going on and on. In this game was interesting because the Vikings found themselves in a situation where they really haven't been all season. That was trailing. They came in this matchup 5-0 as well, and it was a close game. At halftime, I believe it was 17-8. And the Vikings were actually held scoreless between the second quarter and the third quarter. It wasn't until the fourth quarter where things got a little crazy, right? Till things got a little crazy. What do I mean by that, right? What happens in the fourth quarter? Just look at the stat line. It goes, punt. Vienna Vikings punt, Barcelona fumble, Vienna Vikings touchdown. Barcelona punt, Vienna Vikings fumble, Barcelona fumble, Vienna Vikings touchdown. Now it's 20-20. Now it's 20-20, and we got a hell of a game. And as I mentioned, crazy things happen at night in Barcelona, right? And one of the craziest things that is stuck in my head is Jackson Erdman to Jordan Bua for a 90-yard bomb.
This drive going. Erdman from his own end zone steps up, unleashes deep, and it's caught! Bua, unbelievable! Can you dig it? Touchdown!
All right, for a 90-yard bomb. After that, it was night-night for the Dragons. Vienna Vikings, they go on to win 27-20. These teams will literally go in their separate ways. Vienna goes on to win the championship. Barcelona will go on to lose to the Rams, who obviously is well noted, but this is a great game. That was a fun Barcelona team to watch. Great game. Jackson Erdman throws for 297, 3 tuds. Zach throws for 274, 2 touchdowns. Bua goes for 100 plus and a touchdown. Kyle Sweet goes for 100 receiving plus and 2 touchdowns. I think one of the things that really gets missed in the whole thing was the difference in what Vienna did defensively. First half, they ran a lot of zone. And Kyle Sweet was able to find success. Second quarter, you find Xavier Edwards playing more man-to-man, following Kyle Sweet around, and they didn't really have much of an impact, right? They only scored 3 points that whole second half. So whatever Vienna did, it worked. And obviously they played 2 more times. We know what happened. But coming in at number 2, it was a tale of 2 halves. Vienna Vikings win 27-20 over the Barcelona Dragons, your favorite team in 2022. All right. Now, 2021, right? 2021 ELF Championship. You know where I'm going with this, right? The Hamburg Sea Devils play the Frankfurt Galaxy for all the marbles, for the championship, to raise that trophy for the first time, right? But the ELF bleeds purple as the Frankfurt Galaxy get this win. And this was a game that had a lot of momentum changes, a lot of different things that you could point to, in this game. And, we'll talk about it. One thing I would say is that Jacob Sullivan, that boy played a hell of a game. We'll dive into it a little bit. But you want to talk about big plays, there's a number of things you could point to, right? You could point to the 3rd and 17 run for the first down, but then the next couple downs after that, Hamburg Sea Devils gets a drive on 4th down later in that series. You could point to the Justin Edwards punt return that led to a Hamburg Sea Devils points. Nico Straumann touchdown Nico Straumann touchdown off of a Jadrian Clark interception, right? Look at those points. All right. And then Anderson, the kicker, wide left missed field goal, which would have put Hamburg up 33-26 in the 4th, right? Jacob Sullivan to Lawrence Regler, cover 2 seam shot, right in the hole, right? Which would obviously the ball placement alone, which would lead to a touchdown, right? Hamburg Sea Devils, they started off strong. I mean, it was a crazy game back and forth. They were driving late, and it came down to a 3rd and 4. A 3rd and 4 while they were driving. I believe Jadrian Clark throws an out route, and it comes up short of the first down, which brings Anderson back onto the field. They got to make this field goal to win.
Then, from his own half of the field to win the game from 62 yards. The kick is on the way. It's just short. It was on target, but Hamburg's hopes fall a couple of feet short. And with 1 second left, Frankfurt is going to win the first European League of Football championship game.
He misses. Ball game. Frankfurt Galaxy get that first win. And this game was ridiculous back and forth. And a lot of big plays that you could talk to. But I do want to give credit to Jacob Sullivan. He played a monster of a game. 26 for 37, 324 passing yards, 4 touchdowns in the air, 1 on the ground in the championship game. That boy deserved MVP. All right, so shout out to Jacob Sullivan, man. And Hamburg, they just couldn't finish. Missed opportunity, short on 3rd and 4th, couldn't capitalize, turnovers. That was a tough one. They still had a chance, though. But coming in at number 1, top 5 all-time ELF games, all right? ELF bleeds purple in their first championship, right? Frankfurt Galaxy win 32-30 over the Hamburg Sea Devils. So drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. That's my top 5. Let me know if it's a game I'm missing. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. Subscribe. Share this with a friend. And let's keep this ELF ball talking.
Everybody, hard work, they don't know better.